Let me tell you something right off the bat, right up front, that you've probably never heard before from your doctor. If you have prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, it is completely reversible by eating a low carb enough diet for long enough, consistently enough. You will completely reverse your prediabetes or your type 2 diabetes. Welcome to the next edition of Monday Night Live. This is going to be a solo version with only me this evening. Nisha doing some office work, but she's going to be in the comments looking for newbie questions. So if you're just heard about a proper human diet, you just heard about keto, carnivore, low carb for health improvement, she'll be looking for newcomer questions and answering your questions. We also have several of our certified health coaches in the comments as well. So why do I say that you've probably never heard that before? Every single time I speak at an event, not just a keto or carnivore event, but I'm increasingly speaking at local events all over the state of Tennessee, I always ask the question, how many people in the room have prediabetes or type 2 diabetes? And they raise their hands sheepishly, like, well, yeah. And then I ask this question: has your doctor ever told you that you can completely reverse it and not have it anymore? And I've yet to find a single person who says, yes, my doctor told me that I could reverse my type 2 diabetes. I just chose not to because I'm an idiot. Not a single person. Not yet. Not one. No doctors are telling their patients that they can reverse their type 2 diabetes. Why? I don't know. There's been low carb and keto research on this going back almost a decade now in the research literature. Any doctor who's paying attention at all, not just to the research literature, but if they literally have a pulse and ever get on YouTube or ever get on any kind of social media, they've got at least one friend who has reversed their type 2 diabetes or prediabetes with a proper human diet. But yet somehow they still don't know, at least they're not sure enough of it to tell their patients, hey, you can reverse that. Now, in this video tonight, I'm going to be calling out some people by name. I'm going to be calling out some organizations by name. And so you probably want to stick around and just listen, because there's no telling what I'll wind up saying, especially since I don't have my conscience with me tonight. I'm here by myself, so nobody's going to give me the elbow or say muskrat if I get too carried away. So first and foremost, I want you to tell me in the comments where you're watching from, what city, what state, what country. I want to see where you guys are located so I can kind of formulate how I'm going to talk about this. And while you're putting that in the comments, don't be shy. Just click comment and just type it in. It's super easy to do. It doesn't cost you a penny. It's free. I don't think YouTube's going to track you or steal your information or anything. I think it's pretty safe to do that. So tell me where you're watching from, what city, what state, what continent. I'm still waiting for somebody from Antarctica. I know there's not many people there, but surely to goodness they've got YouTube in the South Pole, don't they? Surely they do. I don't know. So when I first started practicing medicine back in the year 2000, I had no idea that you could reverse type 2 diabetes just with diet. And when I say with diet, I don't mean diet in the typical sense of the word, like, oh, you have to restrict your portions and you have to just eat a palm-sized portion of this and you have to count your calories and cut your calories. I'm not talking about that. The use of the word diet in science, in mammalogy and biology, we talk about it, a cow diet. That means what do cows eat? That's what the actual definition of the word diet means. We've gotten so fat and so sick and so unhealthy in modern society that now the word diet sounds like a restriction, like, oh, you need to go on a diet. The diet that I'm talking about that reverses type 2 diabetes and prediabetes is a proper human diet in which there is no calorie counting, no calorie restriction, no portion sizes. When you're hungry, you sit down and you eat until you're comfortably stuffed with proper human diet food. Then you stop eating because you get full. You don't stop eating when you're 80% full. You don't just eat, 3 green peas and 1 raisin and say, okay, that's my lunch. No other animal on the planet does that. Every other mammal on planet Earth eats until they're full. Why are we different? We're made up of the same DNA, the same cells, the same physiology as every other mammal on the planet. We don't have to restrict ourselves. We just have to stop eating the wrong things and start eating a proper human diet. And when you do that, what you're doing is you're removing all the slow poisons from your diet. When you're slowly poisoning yourself each and every day, each and every meal, each and every snack, your body has no time to heal. It's busy fighting and detoxifying the poison you just ate. But when you stop eating all the slow poisons and you just eat proper human food, your body does this magical thing. And it feels magical, but it's not. It's not magic. It's physiology. Your body starts to heal and return back to the healthy state that it would have been this entire time if you hadn't believed that Kellogg's and Kraft Heinz and Mondelez and General Mills and Post and Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola were your best friends. Guess what? They're not your friends. They don't give a damn about you or your health. Now, they don't want to kill you quickly because then your attorney would sue them. But if they slowly make you sick, make you suffer, make you die 10, 20 years from now, where you would have lived 30 or 40 more years, you're going to die in 10 or 20 years, no attorney's going to take that case because you can't really prove there's not a proximate cause. Now, if Kellogg started putting strychnine in their whatever they make, Special K, and just kill people immediately, you ate a bowl of cereal and he dropped dead. Oh, the attorneys would be involved immediately. But if you eat a bowl of Special K every morning with slice up bananas and you're like, oh, this is so healthy, or you eat that bowl of Quaker oatmeal every day and, oh, it's just so healthy. You put some organic honey in there or some agave nectar, you're going to die years before you should have died. And while you're still alive, you're going to suffer with prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, fatty liver. You're going to gain fat that also makes you even more unhealthy. Your blood pressure is going to go up. You're going to develop metabolic syndrome. But you thought you were doing the right thing the whole time. This is what we're faced with in the United States and indeed all modern society, where humans have forgotten how to eat. We're the smartest mammal on planet Earth. We are the apex species. We control and run and rule the planet, but we have no damn idea of what we should eat. Don't you think that's weird? We know how to split the atom, right? We know how to do all these things, but we don't know what to eat. We don't know. We don't know. There's all these different camps, these different units, the vegans, the vegetarians, the Mediterraneans, the plant-based, the keto, the carnivore. It's like, and there's these food wars on the internet. How do we not know what to eat? How is that even possible? We've literally have become a species who thinks that the sun is bad for us. The sun is dangerous, even though we've played in the sun for thousands of years. Now it's magically dangerous. That eating red meat, which is the food that we've eaten for the longest amount of time on planet Earth, that'll cause cancer or heart attack or something. It'll do something bad to you. We think that egg yolks, oh my God, egg yolks, that's just a heart attack. What? That's as bad as smoking 7 cigarettes. It's a news article a few years back. All this misinformation. If it's information coming from a trusted source and they just don't know better than what they're saying, they're just reading off the teleprompter, that's misinformation. But when it's coming from organizations and companies that know better, that's propaganda, is it not? There are medical organizations that put themselves out there like, hey, we are the Diabetes Association. We're your friend. We're here to help you. We're here. We want to be partners for life as you keep your type 2 diabetes for the rest of your life. So what if you were secretly being poisoned with, let's say, mercury? Your spouse was poisoning you with mercury, right? And you were sick. You were getting sicker and slowly sicker. She wasn't doing too much, just a little. And then the American Mercury Association reached out to you and said, hey, you're suffering from mercury poisoning. We want to be your mercury partner for life. We want to be your friend and just walk with you on this mercury poisoning journey for the rest of your life. What? I don't want to be partners with the American Mercury Association for life. I want to get rid of my mercury poisoning. And that's what you can do, because I'm just going to tell you straight. Type 2 diabetes, this name is confusing. It's misleading. Okay. You're like, oh, I've got type 2 diabetes. Must be some weird, maybe genetic. I don't know. Nobody really knows. I'm going to rename type 2 diabetes. Okay. We're going to, from this day forward, you and I are going to call type 2 diabetes carbohydrate overdose syndrome. Think about that. Or carbohydrate toxicity syndrome. Because all carbohydrates break down into sugar. That's the definition of a carbohydrate. It's a long chain of sugars stuck together with chemical bonds. The enzymes in your digestive system break these bonds, and then you have pure sugar. Whether you ate a slice of whole grain, non-GMO, ancient wheat bread, or a bowl of Lucky Charms, you just ate sugar. That's what that was. Okay. So I think you should name these medical conditions by what causes them, because here's why. Type 2 diabetes, what's the cure? I don't know. I mean, nobody knows. We're spending millions on research every year. New drugs are coming out. We want to be your partners for life. What if you started calling it carbohydrate overdose syndrome? Just like we call mercury poisoning, mercury poisoning. What if we called it type 2 mercury disorder? That doesn't make any sense. See my point? When somebody cuts their carbohydrate intake long enough, consistently enough, low enough, their type 2 diabetes goes away. Their prediabetes goes completely away. So when you name it carbohydrate toxicity syndrome, the cause is in the name. But also, for all you common sense folks out there, you're like, yeah, but there's something else in the name too, because a common sense smart person would go, okay, if I'm suffering from carbohydrate toxicity syndrome, then I'll bet you if I cut the carbohydrates, it will get better. Yes. And if you cut them enough, consistently enough, long enough, it'll go completely away. Just like type 2 mercury disorder. If you cut your mercury exposure low enough, consistently enough, long enough, your mercury poisoning will go away. And then your body will heal. You see how simple that is? Now, first of all, we've got 2,300 folks, almost 2,400 watching. Tell me in the comments, have you used a low-carb diet, a ketogenic diet, a carnivore diet, or a Ketovore diet to completely reverse your prediabetes or type 2 diabetes? If so, I want you to tell us in the comments, because I guarantee you there's some new people watching who are like, who is this redneck? Who is this guy? Well, I'm Dr. Ken Berry. I'm a board-certified, licensed doctor, family physician. I've been practicing in Tennessee for almost 23 years. And like I said earlier, when I first started practicing medicine, I had no idea type 2 diabetes was reversible. I mean, maybe if you just said, well, if you exercise for 8 hours a day and you eat like a little rabbit, then maybe you can reverse it. I'd have been like, I mean, maybe, but I think there's more to it than that. Because I wasn't trained in medical school to know that type 2 diabetes is self-inflicted. Not like you did it on purpose, you just didn't know it. I wasn't trained in my medical residency that type 2 diabetes is self-inflicted. I was taught that it was some kind of ethereal, nebulous syndrome. We don't know. I mean, of course, it's got something to do with diet, right? Because if you live on Pepsi Cola and Cheetos and Ding Dongs, your type 2 diabetes will get worse. We didn't know that diet was the cause. We didn't know that. So the cause of type 2 diabetes is that you're eating too many carbohydrates too consistently, too often, for too long, until your body, your poor pancreas is just working overtime, pumping out the insulin, trying to shove all the glucose, which is what the ultimate breakdown of carbohydrates is. It's trying to shove it into your cells, into your muscle cells and other cells. It can't. No matter how high your insulin gets, it can't. And then when your type 2 diabetes is bad enough, you start injecting insulin on top of all the insulin your pancreas is already making. And let me dispel another myth. Many doctors, because doctors are busy, of course, doctors are smart. They know this is a lie, but they tell patients this every day. When you develop type 2 diabetes and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and you're following the American Diabetes Association diet plan, it's still getting worse and worse, doctors will say the following to their patients: I'm afraid it's time to start you on some insulin. I mean, I'm afraid that your pancreas has just played out, or I'm afraid your pancreas is just burned out. We're going to have to start you on insulin injections. Now, most patients do not want to hear about insulin injections because that involves a needle. And the needles are tiny, but still a needle nonetheless. What if I told you what did your doctor ever tell you that? Oh, your pancreas is just burnt out. That is a lie. That is a complete and utter lie. If you have type 2 diabetes or if you have prediabetes, your pancreas is not burned out. And there's an easy and simple way to check and see if your pancreas is burned out. There's a test you can order. There's a test called the fasting insulin. Now, if your pancreas has burned out and just given up the ghost, just give up the fight. Oh, that's it. I'm out. I'm not making insulin anymore. Then your fasting insulin level will be 0 or close to it. Now, if you're injecting insulin, you can't check a fasting insulin. You have to check something called a C peptide. For every molecule of insulin your pancreas makes, it also makes a molecule of C peptide. So C peptide test is a good proxy marker as to whether your pancreas is making insulin or not. So what's going to happen is when you check either the fasting insulin or the C peptide, you're going to find not only are they not 0, not only are they not low, they're actually high because your pancreas is working so damn hard pumping out insulin because you're eating too many carbohydrates, which break down into so much sugar that your pancreas just can't, there's nowhere to shove the sugar. It can't push it into the cells. The cells themselves are already full of sugar. So many patients have been told your pancreas is burned out. So many patients have not been told, oh, you can reverse that type 2 diabetes. I've been fighting this battle on social media since 2017 and have barely made a dent. Of course, there's thousands and thousands of people that who have listened to me and said, oh, carbohydrate toxicity syndrome. I think I'm going to cut the carbs. And their type 2 diabetes went away. There's thousands and thousands of those people out there. But here's the problem. I've helped thousands, but there are tens of millions of people with the capability of watching a YouTube video or a Rumble video or a Twitter video. Tens of millions of those people have type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. And I haven't reached them. I can't reach. The platforms won't put this message out there, but I guess it's not confrontational enough. Maybe I don't cuss enough. Maybe I'm boring to listen to. I don't know. But for whatever reason, I mean, as many people who would be intrigued by the message, type 2 diabetes is reversible. I've never heard that. Has your doctor ever? No. There should be 30,000 people on this video right now instead of 3,000. But somehow I just don't get pushed out there. It's weird. And so you can help me to reach at least a few of those people by sharing this video on your social media. That'll help me reach people who will sit there and go, type 2 diabetes is reversible? Is that true? I'm gonna look that up. And then when they hear me say all type 2 diabetes is carbohydrate overdose syndrome, that's all it is. then they're going to go, oh, I mean, carbohydrates do break down into sugar. So, I mean, and then I monitor my diabetes by checking my blood sugar. So maybe I'll try it. I'll try low carb. I'll try keto. I'll try carnivore and see what it does. And guess what? After 3 months of that, guess what their A1C is going to do? It's going to go down significantly. It's going to go down more, in fact, than any of the FDA approved pharmaceuticals can make it go down. Did you know the average FDA approved pharmaceutical for type 2 diabetes lowers your A1C usually 0.3 of a point or 0.4 of a point? That's what they get their FDA approval on. Where it does just a little bit better than glyburide, which is one of the oldest type 2 diabetes medications on the formulary. You can get an FDA approval with that. And then you can run a bunch of ads on TV and in magazines and on the internet. And you can have millions of people taking your drug, making billions of dollars a year, not reversing anybody's type 2 diabetes at all. Not a single one will you reverse with that. But the patient feels like they're doing something. They downloaded the American Diabetes Association PDF and they're following that. They looked up the ADA's recipes and they're making those recipes, many of which contain sugar. It flat out added sugar or grains, beans that break down immediately into sugar in your body. None of those millions, tens of millions of people, none of them are going to reverse their type 2 diabetes. Their doctor didn't tell them it was reversible. The ADA didn't tell them it was reversible. This new pharmaceutical company, they're sure the hell not going to tell them it's reversible, because guess what? For every single person that reverses their type 2 diabetes with a proper human diet, Big Pharma loses thousands of dollars a year. You think they're interested in you knowing that? For every person that uses a proper human diet to reverse their type 2 diabetes, big food corporations lose hundreds, if not thousands of dollars each and every year, not just for that 1 year, but for the rest of your life. And you're going to live a long damn time because you're no longer slowly poisoning your body. You no longer have type 2 diabetes. You know what the number one cause of having a heart attack is? Prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. Yeah. Half the time when somebody's having a heart attack, we check their cholesterol. It's normal half the time. But 90% of the time, they've got an elevated A1C. Yeah, look it up. So everybody's so concerned about the cholesterol. Oh, my LDL cholesterol. And now the new booger bears, the new boogeymen, ApoB and LP little a. Oh, you've got this. You've got to take a statin the rest of your life and eat rabbit food the rest of your life. Tell me in the comments, why do you think that Big Pharma has any interest in you knowing that type 2 diabetes is completely reversible? Do you think that Big Pharma or Big Food has any interest whatsoever in the tens of millions of people in the United States who have type 2 diabetes, knowing that they can reverse their type 2 diabetes and keep it going the rest of their life? Do you think Big Pharma wants you to know that? I'm not going to give you my answer. I think you know my answer. I want you to say it out loud. Do you think Big Pharma wants anybody to reverse their type 2 diabetes? Do you think Big Food wants anybody to reverse their type 2 diabetes? Think about it. Big Food's going to lose hundreds of dollars every year for the rest of that person's life. Big Pharma is going to lose thousands of dollars every year, each and every year for the rest of that person's life. And then that person's going to tell 2 or 3 good friends, hey, you can reverse your type 2 diabetes. It's a ripple effect. Just like when you guys share this video, you never know you're going to help. You never know who you're going to literally transform their health because you shared this video. And they watched a few minutes and went, huh, I didn't know that. I'm going to look into that. That's the power that social media gives you. And only if you don't click the share button, then you don't have any power to improve people's health that you've never met. Now, I'm willing to take some questions. Try to keep your questions somewhat in some way about pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes. It can be about type 1 diabetes too. It can be about LADA or MODY. It can be about gestational diabetes. Let's try to sort of stay on the topic of diabetes. Metabolic syndrome goes hand in hand. High triglycerides go hand in hand. High blood pressure goes hand in hand. Fatty liver, obesity, all these things, they don't have different causes. All of these things are caused by the same thing, which is carbohydrate toxicity, eating too many carbohydrates. Now, granted, ultra processed, simple, fast acting carbohydrates are by far the worst. Yes, 100%. Okay. So if you eat a bowl of Lucky Charms, that's about as bad as it gets. If you eat a candy bar, that's about as bad as it gets. If you drink a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi-Cola, that's literally, that is diabetes packaged up and sold to you in pretty packaging. But so many people, they make this false choice. They're like, okay, I've got type 2 diabetes. I got to stop the Pepsi-Cola. Yep, you sure do. I got to stop the Ding Dongs and the Honey Buns and the Doritos. I got to stop. Yep, you do. That's right. But then they replace it with lots of whole grain bread and fruit juice smoothies and lots of carbs, lots of fruits, and drinking orange juice instead of the Pepsi. What they've done is they're trying. You get it? They're trying. They go to the American Diabetes Association website and they're like, oh, okay. So lots of whole grains, lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, not much red meat, no bacon at all. Okay, got it. I can do that. But then when they go back to their doctor in 3 months or 6 months to have their lab work rechecked, nothing's better. And then they're started on a medication, then 2, then 3. Oh, now your pancreas is burned out. Now you got to go on insulin. But they're still smashing just as many total carbohydrates as they were back when they were eating the junk. So whole grain bread is slightly less bad than a Snicker bar. That's true. Yes. That doesn't make it good if you have pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. It is junk food. Does that warp anybody's brain? You're like, did he just say whole grain bread is junk food? Yes. Now, if you're 18 years old and you're fit and trim and you've got an 8-pack, not even a 6-pack, but an 8-pack. I used to have an 8-pack, so I know what that means. And you exercise 4 or 5 hours a day, you can eat whole grain bread. Yeah, it's fine. But if you're overweight, if you're over 40, if your blood pressure is high, if your triglycerides are high, if your A1C is creeping up, whole wheat bread is junk food for you. You've got to tighten your diet up more. Now, every time I say tighten up your diet, people think, oh, I need to eat less. It's not what I said. Not what I said. And now, so that false choice people make. In many cases, their family tries to help them. They're like, oh, you got type 2 diabetes. And so they'll clean out all the cookies and candy. That's good. That's a great step. Yes. But then they go to the health food store or they go to Whole Foods and they fill the pantry back up with all of these sugar-free candies and all these protein bars and all these things. And if you actually look at the nutrition label, you're like, this has got just as much sugar as a Snicker bar. Or you buy this really healthy cereal. Stop buying the Lucky Charms and start getting Special K or All Brand or Total. Boy, yeah, I threw out the Lucky Charms. You can't have those anymore. I got you Total or I got you Special K. Look at how many carbohydrates are in a serving. That's junk food for somebody with pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. That's junk food. That's going to spike their blood sugar. Some family members are like, oh, get rid of all the cereal. You're going to start having a big bowl of oatmeal. And it's not going to be that instant oatmeal. It's going to be that steel cut oats that you have to cook for 3 days. We're going to make overnight oats and you're going to eat that every morning for breakfast. Look at the total carbohydrates. How many people have I talked to, when I post this on Twitter and they're like, yeah, I just tweet oatmeal is junk food. Hundreds of people are like, yep, I thought you were full of crap until I ate a bowl of oatmeal and checked my blood sugar. And it went just as high as when I ate the Captain Crunch. Yeah. If you have metabolic syndrome, if you're overweight, if you're obese, if you have high blood pressure, if you have fatty liver, if you have prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, oatmeal is junk food. Sorry. I'm sorry. The truth hurts, but that's the truth of it. All right, let's take some questions. Here's Nancy. I've been eating mostly carnivore. I found out I have the ApoE4 gene. This is another one of those sexy markers that they're trying to scare everybody with. My mother and grandfather both had Alzheimer's. Should I quit carnivore? No. I keep reading I need to eat low fat with that gene. Yeah, so there's not a shred of research that proves that. Okay. Now, we do know that if you have the ApoE4 gene, you are at a higher risk of developing Alzheimer's and a couple of other things. That's true. But eating low fat, there is not a shred of proof that eating a low fat diet or even a fat-free diet is going to protect you from Alzheimer's. No. And if you eat low fat enough, there's only 3 macros. There's fat, there's protein, and there's carbohydrates. If you cut the fat, you got to replace it with something in order to be able to eat. And if you eat too much protein, it's not you can't. It just doesn't. It's not good. You got to either have fat with your protein or carbs with your protein. If you eat enough carbs because you're eating so low in fat, guess what's going to go up? Your blood sugar. Then that's going to make your insulin go up. And that's going to keep you now develop prediabetes. You now have type 2 diabetes. Now your pancreas is burned out, and now you're on insulin. That's literally how this is going to work for you, Nancy. Keep eating a proper human diet. Thank you, Amy, very much. Thank you, Bill. Here's Ernest. Hello, I sent you a few invitations by email asking whether it might be possible to arrange an interview with you. Could you please check your inbox when you have a moment? I'm afraid you might have the wrong email address, Ernest. Depending on who you are, I might absolutely jump at a chance to be on your channel. Look around in the show notes of my YouTube videos. You'll find an email that you can use. Thank you, nobody. Jordy says, hi from Phoenix. Why am I so sensitive to salt? Still pre-diabetic at 5.9, down from 11. So let's just look at Jody. Jody started this journey with an A1C of 11. Now, if you don't know anything about diabetes, you're like, I don't know what that means. It's really, really bad. Jody was really, really sick. Jody has got that A1C down from 11 down now to 5.9. So completely reversed type 2 diabetes. No longer has type 2 diabetes. Now just classifies only as pre-diabetic. I can't cook with salt or eat too much or my hands swell and go numb. You may be one of the very, very few people who are sensitive to salt. Maybe there's an added ingredient in the particular salt you're using. Try some different brands of salt. I really like Redmond's Real Salt, but there's many different good brands out there. Try some different brands to see if it keeps happening. Maybe you just need to eat less salt than you would like to eat. I doubt that, but maybe. Missy, I have stage 3 COPD and got diagnosed with B-cell CLL today. I started carnivore this week. Any suggestions? Keep doing what you're doing. Keto or carnivore, they are the diets that are going to help your body fight. They are the diets that are going to help your body rebuild and repair your lung tissue. Yeah, you can do that. You still have stem cells in your lungs. And if you stop, hopefully you've already stopped smoking and stopped being around any kind of smoke, even if it's coming from another person's cigarette. That's poison to you. You have to stay away from that. Okay. But if you eat a proper human diet and you gradually increase the amount of exercise you're getting, you will give your lungs a stimulus to rebuild, rejuvenate. Now, you're not going to go back to having the lungs you had when you were 18 years old, but you can significantly improve your COPD. You can reverse this back to stage 2 or even stage 1. Okay, we've seen this hundreds of times. We've got a lady in our private community who, when she first joined our community, She had to wear oxygen 24/7, and she was in a wheelchair most of the day because her COPD was so bad. Through months of calls with me and improving her diet steadily, she now only uses her oxygen if she's going to be out going for a walk, and she now goes for a 1-mile walk every day. She's going up and down her stairs for no reason, because when you eat a proper human diet and remove the slow poison and then give your body a gentle amount of exercise, if you have stage 3 COPD, you can't go run a half marathon. I'm talking about just going up a few stairs or walking around your house a few times. That's a stimulus for your lungs to start to heal. And she now never wears her oxygen in her house. Goes to the doctor. She never wears it to doctor's appointments just to show them how much better she is. She's walking, something she never thought she would do again. She goes shopping. She's not in a scooter, not in a wheelchair. The human body is capable of that type of healing. Somebody says, what's this private community you just talked about? I'll give you the web address. Go to phdhealth.community, not .com, not .org. PhD Health, proper human diet health, phdhealth.community. You got to type the whole word in. It'll take you straight there. Okay, you can join our private community, our tribe, our PhD family. And this is if your spouse just won't help you. You're like, dude, I got type 2 diabetes. Stop bringing home those bags of Chips Ahoy cookies, please, because I love them. I'm tempted. And your spouse just won't help you. You got no support at home. Your mother-in-law keeps baking you that pie, and you're like, I'm a diabetic. Please stop. And they won't stop. If you need support, if you need somebody to go on this journey with you, we would love to have you in our tribe. There's all kinds of stuff. There's hours and hours of video in there that you can watch. I do 3 or 4 live Q&As just like this every week inside the group. But instead of 3,700 people asking questions, it's 200 people, 100 people, sometimes 40 people asking questions. So I can answer every one of your questions thoroughly. Also, if you join, there's a 1-hour PhD guidebook masterclass that we used to charge $9 for. We're now giving it away for free when you join our community, the PhD community. Now, you can get a copy of the Proper Human Diet Guidebook by going to drbarry.com/guidebook. You can get that. I'll email you a free PDF copy. You can print it off. Heck, you can print off 100 copies if you want to and give it to everybody at your church, everybody in your civic organization, everybody in your class. But I want you to have a copy, and you can get it for free. I'll email it to you. All I need is your email address. And we never sell your email address. Okay? And so once you've got your guidebook downloaded, you join the phdhealth.community, and you get a free, me going over the guidebook for a solid hour saying, hey, this is what this means. This is how you do this. We don't sell anything in the private community. We don't push any supplements. We don't sell any food. We don't sell anything. We're just in there helping people reverse chronic disease. So if you need that kind of support, if you have nobody in your life that's helping you, every time you go to your in-laws for Sunday dinner, there's another pie, there's another cake, there's some fresh cookies, and everything on the table is carbohydrates. You're like, what do you people not understand I have diabetes? I can't eat any of this or my blood sugar will skyrocket. We can be your PhD family. We can be the family member that takes you by the hand and say, hey, let's go on a journey. Let's reverse your type 2 diabetes. Let's reverse your fatty liver. Let's get that blood pressure back down close to normal. Let's lose some of that belly fat that you've got because that's super unhealthy. Let's improve your brain fog. Let's improve your depression, your anxiety. Thousands of people in the community have done those very things. Not just 1 or 2 anecdotes, but hundreds, if not thousands of people in our PhD community have done that. And they are waiting for you to join so they can say, hey, I already did that. I reversed my type 2 diabetes. I used to have treatment-resistant depression. Now I don't. I used to have fatty liver. I used to have high triglycerides. I used to have low HDL. I used to be morbidly obese, so obese that I had to get special assistance to go to the doctor's office or the supermarket. And now I don't have that anymore. That's what we do inside our private community. So if you need that level of support, please join us. Now let's go back to some more questions. Oh, Amy, I love you too. Platonically. Nobody here says type 2 insulin-dependent diabetic, BMI 22, keto for 4.5 years, 100% carnivore last 11 months, 2.5 pound fatty meat 3 times a day, which increases 54 to 90. Why? 54 is normal, 90 is normal. There's no problem here. You've reversed your type 2 diabetes. If you keep doing this long enough, consistently enough, nobody here, your type 2 diabetes will go completely away. Marilyn, Husto doctor said I would have to take metformin for life. I refused. A year later, he was shocked I did not have diabetes, but he said I should take a statin because of my higher LDL. Second doctor said I needed to eat potatoes. So many people go to the doctor. I mean, you want to trust your doctor. You want to believe that your doctor has your best interest at heart. You should be able to believe that. And I think most doctors do mean well. I think most doctors are absolutely trying to help people. But they've been mistrained. They have been misinformed. They have been taught a false paradigm when it comes to prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. They do not understand the simple concept of type 2 diabetes is carbohydrate toxicity syndrome. They don't get that. They don't teach that in medical school. I can promise you, I was not taught that in medical school or residency. But I've seen it happen so many hundreds of thousands of times now that it's self-evident that if you eat too many carbohydrates too consistently for too long, you're going to develop hyperinsulinemia first, then prediabetes, then type 2 diabetes. That's what's going to happen. Here's 313 Detroit, type 2 since 2010, started carnivore 2 years ago. I love it. Now I'm positive for hereditary hemochromatosis. If it's hereditary hemochromatosis, you are always positive for it. It's genetic. You've had it your entire life. About to do third phlebotomy, ferritin 671. Doc says stop red meat and vitamin C, bunch of stuff. Any advice, please? Yeah, we've got several people in our private community who have been properly diagnosed with hereditary hemochromatosis who are still able to eat a keto or a carnivore diet. And we talk about how to do that in the private community. That's absolutely doable. You can keep your type 2 diabetes reversed and not make your hemochromatosis worse. If you have the full penetrance hereditary hemochromatosis, you're probably going to have phlebotomy done occasionally. Thank you very much. Already got that one. Here's Chris. When preparing for a glucose tolerance test from a keto diet the next day, what's the best type or amount of carbs to restore first phase insulin stores? So any little bit of Chris is into a complicated thing that we talk about in the keto and carnivore communities. If you're just a beginner, don't worry about Chris's question or my answer to it. Chris, if you'll just bump like 5 or 10 grams of carbs for a day for 3 days before, you'll pass it with flying colors. I don't really like glucose tolerance tests. That's where you drink the 50 or 75 grams of sugar. It's basically a Pepsi Cola, basically. And then they check your blood sugar at 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour intervals. I don't think that's a great test. I'm a big fan of the hemoglobin A1C. And the fasting insulin and the C-peptide and the fructosamine tests. I'm a big fan of those. Here's Healthy Mama. My seborrheic dermatitis has been out of control. I read to eliminate dairy, eggs, and of course gluten. I do eat pasture-raised eggs every day. Could the eggs be doing it? It might be the egg whites. I don't think it's the egg yolks. It may be the whites. You might try a month with definitely the dairy can cause it. Definitely any grain or bean can cause your seborrheic dermatitis to flare up. But I have had a few people that it seemed like it was the egg whites, especially the egg whites of unfertilized eggs. And if you can't imagine why unfertilized eggs would be any different than fertilized eggs, there's definite discrete differences. All right. Who has questions? Time to type your questions into the comments. Anybody got a question? Let me look through these comments, guys. Bear with me. Yep. Here's Dana. Dogs chasing the cats. Kind of like doctors chasing their tails when it comes to patients with type 2 diabetes. They've been prescribing all the medications for 20 years, never seen a case reversed, but they keep prescribing the medication. Toto's been chasing Loki for years now, still has never caught her, but still is going to chase her. Dana says, does your guidebook have a list of foods to eat and or more specific guidelines? Yeah, it's about 40 pages long. It tells you what to eat, what to avoid, tells you how much to eat, when to eat. You can get a free copy of it by going to drberry.com/guidebook. You put your email address in, I'll email you a copy, check your spam folder if you don't see it. And then you can either save it on your computer, save it on your Kindle, save it on your iPad. You can print off a copy or print off 100 copies. And then once you've read the guidebook, if you're like, okay, I get it, but I sure would like to have a group of people to kind of, yell at me when I need to be yelled at, or to lift me up when I need to be lifted up. If I fall down, I don't, some people like to be kicked when they're down. That pisses them off and gets them motivated. Other people don't like that. They need to be just picked up and give a hug. If you need that kind of extra layer of support, you can join our private community, phdhealth.community. Yes, you type in the whole word, community, phdhealth.community. And once you've got the guidebook and you've joined the community, you're going to have every single thing you need to reverse type 2 diabetes, to reverse prediabetes, to reverse fatty liver, to lower your triglycerides, to raise your HDL. You notice I haven't said anything about lowering your LDL cholesterol. There's a reason for that. Does anybody know the reason? Why have I not mentioned that? Yep. Anybody in the comments who their name is blue and they have a blue wrench beside their name, they're either a certified PhD health coach, or it's my wife, Nisha. If it says Nisha, that's my wife, Nisha. She's answering questions. Thank you, Nisha. Oh, yes. Here's a great question. So I'm focusing tonight just on type 2 diabetes and all the things that go with it. But Sunny Gal says, does carnivore diet help with IBS-D, which is the diarrhea predominant variant? Yes, Sunny. If you know anybody who has IBS-C or IBS-D or IBD or Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, they 100% need to be on a carnivore diet, at least for the next 90 days, maybe for life, but at least the next 90 days. I can't tell you how many cases of Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, IBD, IBS that both Dr. Sean Baker, Dr. Anthony Chafee, Dr. Robert Kills, it's probably 100,000 cases that we've all been told about all together. It like literally that it just goes away. Now, I'm not saying it goes away magically overnight. It gets better, progressively better and better and better until it's like you just don't have it anymore. Yeah, 100%. Try it and see. Pat says, what about enlarged prostate? Can carnivore help that? Hundreds and hundreds of men in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s have reported decreased prostate symptoms. when they stick to a carnivore diet. Capricia says, what about the A1C? Can you help with that? Yes, Capricia. So when I say you can reverse type 2 diabetes, what I mean is that it will lower your A1C back down to normal. That's what I meant. I'm sorry if I didn't explain that. So pre-diabetes means that your A1C is somewhere between 5.7 and 6.4. That's the definition of pre-diabetes. I call it early diabetes. I think any diabetes is diabetes. Pre-diabetes implies that, oh, well, you're moving towards it, but you don't have it yet, nothing to worry about. That's also a big fat lie that many doctors will tell their patients. Oh, you've got pre-diabetes, or you've got just a touch of sugar. You know, it's just cut back on the candy bars and the Coca-Cola, and we'll recheck it again next year. There's research is clear. If you have pre-diabetes, if you have an A1C between 5.7 and 6.4, and that elevated A1C is caused by eating too many carbohydrates, you're doing permanent damage to your body. Now, if your A1C gets to 6.5, that's the cutoff. That's the official diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. So if your A1C is 6.5 or higher, you have type 2 diabetes by definition. And when you adopt and stick to a proper human diet consistently enough for long enough, Capricia, it's going to make your A1C go back down to normal. Yes, 100%. Absolutely. Again, in the comments, if you've reversed your prediabetes or your type 2 diabetes, put in the comments, what was your original A1C and what's your A1C now? I want Capricia and other people to see your A1C started at this and now it's this. Put that in the comments so that people can see this. And if you have a question for me, try to put either the all caps word question or 3 capital Qs so I can see that you're asking me a question. All right, let's see. So here's Briar Rose. Her A1C was 6.1, which is pre-diabetic. Now it's down to 5.2, which is perfection. This is what a proper human diet does. Here's Keto Sprinter. A1C was 6.1, which is pre-diabetic, early diabetes, in my opinion. Dropped down to 5.4, which is perfection. Here's sweet tea. Stop drinking the sweet tea, okay? A1C started at 5.9, which many doctors would say, oh, sweet tea, it's 5.9. That's not bad. Don't worry about that. Permanent damage is being done with an A1C of 5.9. So I'm so glad that sweet tea reversed it down to 5.2. This is the way. This is what a proper human diet does. Look at JR's. Went from 11.9, which is dangerously type 2 diabetic, back down to normal, 5.6. Not only does JR not have severe type 2 diabetes anymore, he doesn't even have pre-diabetes anymore. It's gone. And he did it with the food. What about the Striking Viking? Started out with an A1C of 12.3. That is so dangerous. Now has an A1C of 5.2 and feels great. This is what a proper human diet does, guys. Here's a newcomer, Psalms 118. I am new to your channel. I have diabetes currently. And last month, my blood was at 313. I'm assuming you mean your serum glucose was 313. Today, it is as low as 154. What would you suggest I do at this point? I'm not sure how to ask questions. This is exactly how you ask questions. Okay. It sounds like you've got several questions. You probably would love being in our private community. But so if your blood sugar was 313, now it's down to 154. That's a huge improvement. Huge. You're not all the way there yet, but you have moved drastically towards a more healthy place. You're well on your way. Okay, you're well on your way to getting healthier. Keep it up. Keep it up. Oh my God, look at this. Thomas, his A1C back in 2017 was 18. That's about as high as I've ever seen. Now it's 5.3. Now, Thomas, did your doctor tell you you could reverse your type 2 diabetes, or did you just do it yourself? I know the answer to that question. Here's Kathy. Look at Kathy's. 9.8, now 5.7. She's only 1/10 of a point from perfection. Here's another one. Here's Lori. Highest A1C was 11. I'm now at 5.7. I feel satisfied after I eat. She's just 1/10 of a point from being completely and totally healthy and normal. How cool is that? Look at Susan's. 12.5 down to 5.6. Do you guys see all the comments? Just scroll through them and look at them. That one guy who original A1C over 14, now 4.7. And some of you might be saying 4.7. I didn't even know an A1C would get that low. Yeah. And it's super, super healthy when you get your A1C that low. Yes. Now, if you're injecting enough insulin to get it that low, no, it's very, very unhealthy. But if you have fixed your diet to the point so that you can eat when you're hungry and eat until you're full, and your A1C went from 14 down to 4.7, I think that you've discovered something very powerful and very important. Here's Carla. Started A1C 6.5, so she was just over the criteria for type 2 diabetes. Now A1C is 5.1 with no meds, proper human diet only. It just goes on and on and on, guys. I'm just telling you. This is the way if you have pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. Lance says, I'm struggling with gout and want to go full carnivore, but after switching to a keto diet, my gout has been worse than ever before. I think beefsteak is causing my flare-ups. No, sir, it's not. I know it seems that way, but it's not. How can I go carnivore, or what am I doing wrong? So the first thing you need to do, Lance, and anybody out there who has gout, you need to watch my gout video on YouTube. Gout is not caused by meat. Gout is not caused by fish. Gout is not caused by seafood. This is another lie that your well-meaning, well-intentioned doctor was taught and now is teaching you. That is not what causes gout. Watch my gout video and you'll go, oh, okay, I get it. And then you can go carnivore. What about Stephanie? My A1C went from 6.9 down to 5.6 in 3 months. She had type 2 diabetes. It was 6.9. Has anybody's doctor told them, hey, you can reverse your type 2 diabetes in 3 months? She didn't even go keto or carnivore. She just cut her carbs to under 100 total grams a day. That's all she did. And in fact, about 70% of people with type 2 diabetes, they don't even need to go full keto or full carnivore. If they just ate no more than 100 grams of total carbohydrates, not net carbohydrates, 70% of the people would reverse their type 2 diabetes back to normal. Okay. About 20% of people have got to go keto to get it completely reversed. And about 10 or 15% of people got to go all the way carnivore for it to be completely reversed. What about this guy, Mike the Carnivore, Bigfoot? He's got a great YouTube channel. If you're carnivore curious, you should check out his YouTube channel. In 2 years and 3 weeks of carnivore, he's lost 395 pounds, and his A1C is 4.7. Guys, this is not me trying to sell you anything. Have I tried to sell you anything? If you don't need support, don't join our group. If you're like me, if you're like a mountain lion, like just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Great. You don't need to join the community. Have you ever heard anybody say that? You don't need to buy my product. But if you know you, I don't know you, but you know you. Are you a mountain lion? Are you a self-starter? Then you don't need to join our community. If you got a wife who's like, okay, honey, I'll help you with this diet, or a husband, or a mama or a daddy, or a friend, a roommate, like, yeah, I'll help you with that. I won't tempt you. Then you don't need to join our community. But if you don't have those things, if you're not a self-starter, you might need to join our community for a few months, if not a year or two. Once you get it all under your belt, you don't have to stay in there forever. Although many people have been in there for years, because it becomes like family, because these people have literally helped you transform your life, transform your health. They've helped you regain a level of health that you never even dreamed would be possible for you again. People like that kind of stuff. It's a very positive group. We're very upbeat. We're very motivational. We're always trying to encourage people to do just a tiny bit more, do just a little bit better. Come on, let's be better tomorrow. So if you need that kind of encouragement, join our tribe. But if you don't need that, don't join the tribe. We can be friends either way. Let's get a few more good ones here. Okay, here you go. Yeah. So Lady Locke's husband he's a mountain lion. He don't need no help. You just tell me what to do and I'll do it. He's one of those. And that I love that. I'm one of those. That's how I am. I got a problem. I watch some YouTube videos. I learn how to fix the problem. I fix the problem. That's me. But not everybody's like that. Some people need to ask lots of questions. They need assistance. They need motivation. They need somebody to say, hey, I got you. They need a health coach. They need a tribe. That's what the community's for. But Lady Locke's husband did not join the community, but he did watch a buttload of Dr. Berry YouTube videos and others with the same mindset, and he is no longer a diabetic. Now, wait a minute. Lady Locke, you're telling me that all you got to do to reverse your type 2 diabetes is watch a buttload of YouTube videos? Well, you got to watch them, learn from them, and then apply what you learn, right? That's what he did. But yeah, you can get everything for free watching my YouTube videos. Absolutely. And I'm happy if you do that. The only pay that I would ask is that you share those videos out there, Lady Locks, so that other people whose husband hasn't found my videos yet, they can do the same exact thing your husband did. Watch a few YouTube videos and go, oh, okay, I get it. I'm going to reverse this type 2 diabetes. And then when they go back to the doctor in 6 months and get their A1C recheck, the doctor's like, did you go to an endocrinologist? Are you taking a new medicine? And the patient's like, no, doctor. Actually, I'm eating a proper human diet now, and I don't need any medication. I've reversed my type 2 diabetes without medication. My A1C went back to normal with no medication. Aren't you curious, doctor, about how I did that? You know, sadly, what the average doctor's answer is to that question? Nah, not really. I'm not trained to recommend diet. I'm trained to prescribe medicine. That's all I know how to do. That's what the average doctor's answer is, if they're being honest. They're not really interested. Neither is the American Diabetes Association. In fact, the American Diabetes Association is so bad that a couple of years ago, me and a group of doctors and PhDs and MDs got together and with registered dietitians, and we founded the American Diabetes Society. And we're fundraising right now. We're working on funding research. We're working on teaching doctors with CME courses how to actually help people with type 2 diabetes reverse it. The American Diabetes Society. We've got a Facebook page, an Instagram page. I think we're on TikTok. We got a YouTube channel. We got a website. Just type in American Diabetes Society, all the words, .org. And you can go check it out. And if you got an extra $5 or $10, we would really promise to put your donation to good use to help spread this message all over the world that type 2 diabetes is reversible. We want doctors to be educated about this so that when a new patient walks in and they are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, that the first thing the doctor says, not, well, let's start metformin, or let me refer you to a nutritionist, or go to the ADA website. The first thing out of that doctor's mouth is going to be, you can reverse that, right? Now, the big pharma companies that make all the diabetes medication, do you think they're going to appreciate that? No. Do you think they're going to kick back? Yep, they already are. Do you think they're going to try to trip up the ADS? Yep, they're already trying that. So please go to the American Diabetes Society, AmericanDiabetesSociety.org. Leave a small donation, because I promise you, when it grows enough and this message gets loud enough, big pharma is going to try to shut us down. We're going to literally cost them billions of dollars. They're not going to be happy about that. So if you can afford to donate, please do. Thank you for that. All right. Amy is telling me something I already knew, but maybe you didn't know. She said, Carrie from Homestead How, that's a big YouTube channel, cured his lifelong AFib with the carnivore diet. Go look him up. Yeah, Amy, me and Carrie are good friends. He's been here to the farm. We had a foot race. I outran him. But yes, he had lifelong AFib, and it's gone now completely. He also had lifelong depression and a long list of other stuff that went away when he adopted and stuck to a proper human diet. So let me throw this up one more time in case somebody missed it. If you want to get a free copy of, I think it's about 40 or 50 pages, the Proper Human Diet Guidebook, go to drbarry.com. It's on the bottom of the screen, drbarry.com/guidebook, and get a copy. I'll email you a free copy immediately. Okay. You don't have to pay a penny for it, and I'll never sell your email address. And if you are one of those, here's the American Diabetes Society. There's the address right there, AmericanDiabetesSociety.org. And if you need extra support, if you're like, yeah, I kind of understand low carb and keto, but I just can't, I'm just not motivated. My spouse won't help me. Nobody will help me. I need support. I need somebody to check in with me every morning and say, hey, today's going to be a good day. What are you going to eat for breakfast? Hey, send me a picture of what you're going to eat for lunch. And if you need that kind of support, then you need to join our tribe. You need to be part of the PhD community. You go to phdhealth.community. Type the full word community in. It's not phdhealth.com. phdhealth.community. It's a quick sign up. I promise you it's going to be worth it. I promise you, especially if you have prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, just the amount of copays and deductibles and all that junk that you have to meet, you're going to save thousands and thousands of dollars if you have prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, obesity, hypertension, metabolic syndrome, a long list of other things that we talked about in this video. How many times are you going to have to go to the doctor for that? How many copays are you going to have to pay? How many pharmacy copays are you going to have to pay? How many deductibles are you going to have to meet? How much is your insurance premium going to go up? You know, if you didn't have those chronic medical conditions, you wouldn't have to go to the doctor 2 times a year or 3 times or 4 times or more a year. You wouldn't get sick as often if you weren't slowly poisoning your body. So I promise you, this is a small investment in your health and your longevity. But it's up to you. If you don't need it, that's fine. I'll still love you. All right, guys, that's it. That's all we got time for. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for sharing this video. It's not too late to click the share button down at the bottom of the screen. Share it on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Share it anywhere, because I promise you there are people who do not know the things that are facts that I just said on this video. They've never been told by their doctor. They've never been told by their dietitian. No nurse has ever told them this. If you want them to hear it, share this video. All right, guys, that's it. See you next time.